Yeah, yeah. Somebody come get this nigga, he smoking that shit again. Still his bitch, but shit sad. I'm finna hit again. Load it up, send him home. I'm posted up, $1 million home. 10 lines on my account, I still can't call a bitch. Ain't doing it all alone, I still need all of it. Right around me.
What's happening? Ah, what's happening, people? Man. It's been a hot minute. It's been a minute. And as you can see, I'm back in my room. I'm back home. I am back essentially in Chicago, and just came back from Florida literally yesterday, like literally yesterday. And boy, has it been a lot of stuff that's been going on in the sports world, not just with football, which I probably won't even get a chance to talk about if we're being honest, because there's been so much other stuff that's been happening. Mixed martial art news, UFC 92-94 recap that I'm gonna get into, not now, but some other news for essentially 295 with some injuries, some pullouts, some restructuring of fights, and all this other stuff. But, but none of that matters because the sport, the game of basketball, ladies and gentlemen, it is back. NBA opening week was Tuesday. Tuesday, man. We've had essentially 3 days of nothing but nonstop NBA basketball. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you I have been loving every single minute of it, whew, it's truly a blessing. It's truly a blessing. I almost grabbed my All-Star DeMar DeRozan jersey, but I'm glad I didn't because that would have probably looked weird. But that would have looked weird. But yeah, man. I've before I even get into all that stuff, I've legit missed you guys. I contemplated a lot whether or not I wanted to record while I was down there, record while I was in Florida. But um I figured no, I was down there with my lovely girlfriend, and who maybe one day I get in a pod, who knows. But I was down there with my girl, and I didn't want to essentially be working. I did essentially working, so I was like, I'll just have to miss Tuesday. It was crazy. I had people text me, was like, "Yo, where's the pod? Like, you gave up already? Like, nah, nigga. Like, I'll be back. Just give me Friday." So yeah, man. But NBA opening week is back. It came on the 24th. It is currently the 27th. 3 days of just nonstop basketball. Essentially, the first day, um, when we had the Nuggets and the Lakers ring night, ring ceremony, and then right after that, we had the Suns going against the Warriors, where they honored KD, essentially showed a video package, all that stuff. It was so sweet. It was so nice. But man, a lot of stuff that I've been saying about certain teams is true to a certain extent because it's not even been a full week of basketball yet. But a lot of stuff that I've been saying about some certain teams have come to fruition just a little bit. And the team I want to talk about in particular, which will be coming up sooner rather than later, is the Suns. As that team is going to be interesting. I still think that they're going to be one of the best teams, one of the best regular season teams. Let me put that out there because we don't know playoff wise, obviously. But regular season wise, I think is going to be one of the best teams in all of basketball because they're just going to simply just no one can guard them. No one could guard them. It's gonna be physically impossible to guard them. Um, the Nuggets, the defending champs, looked as dominant as ever against the Lakers team, and the Lakers had two interesting showings on both games. I'm gonna talk about both games. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of the Nuggets game right here because I don't want to. I feel like I have to talk about the Nuggets. I feel like the media, NBA, sports, basketball media as a whole disrespects the Nuggets too much as a whole, and I don't want to be a part of that media that doesn't talk about the Nuggets, that doesn't give them their credit, doesn't essentially give them the credit they deserve. I feel like they're one of the most disrespected champions, honestly, ever. Like it's so crazy how people are still talking about this team as if they aren't the defending champions of the whole fucking NBA. So it's weird, but you live and you learn. So I'm interested. I'm gonna be watching a lot of teams. Um, what was it? Wednesday was a crap ton of games. I'm not gonna go in depth on every single one, but I'll go over the scores, give my 1 2 cents on it, and then move. And then yesterday was probably my favorite day because we had probably the two best games. With the Bucks taking on the Sixers, the new look Bucks with Dame and Giannis and all them boys taking on the Sixers without James Harden, but with some of their new additions being Patrick Beverly and Kelly Oubre Jr., who had himself a game last night, and the Suns, who I was talking about earlier, who also played against the Warriors and beat the Warriors, um, took on the Lakers, and it was an interesting game. It was a fun game, but it was an interesting game that I'm gonna get into. But before we do any of that, let's go over essentially the first night. I just want to quickly run through it real quick, give my opinions on both games, and yeah, we're just gonna do that quickly, real quickly, real quickly. Promise I won't take up too much time because there's so much stuff that I have to talk about. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that I legit have to talk about in terms of like basketball news and then really just sports. And that's the thing with NBA is I have to figure out how I'm gonna balance trying to talk about basketball games and football because there's going to be a lot of basketball games playing, and then obviously NFL Sunday is that's not going nowhere. So it's gonna be a lot of stuff. But quickly, just want to run through the box score real fast. Just give the Nuggets their due credit because I feel like a lot of people are still disrespecting the Nuggets, which I don't know how you can do because, like I mentioned, they have the best player in the world on their team, and they're still one of, if not the best team in all of basketball. And yeah, you gotta give them their due credit. So leading scorer for the Lakers was LeBron, who is on a minutes restriction. If you did not know, only played 29 minutes this game. And one thing that I did notice was out essentially the entire fourth quarter of this game. And Darvin Ham essentially corrected that mistake going into the next game they had against the Phoenix Suns, which happened yesterday. But yeah, a lot to say about this game, and the main focal point of this game was Anthony Davis, who on the day shot 6 of 17, 35% from the field, hit one of his two threes, was 100% from the line, had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, no steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, and 17 points with a plus minus of -17. And you think, well, AD, he started the game off hot. He had a pretty decent game. The thing that was said about Anthony Davis was that it was essentially him and Jokic. And if just had to say something, if you hear like cars or people talking, I have my patio open. Um, so yeah, I just if you hear stuff, just that's why. But anyway, Anthony Davis essentially had a very good first half, like damn good first half. It was him and Jokic. They were going back and forth. They were battling. Jokic I think had 19 in the first half. Anthony Davis had 17 in the first half, and that's bad because for the second half he went 0 for 6, 0 for 6, as essentially the quote unquote best player on that team or second best player on that team. Like, and I say quote unquote best player because at this point in time, as long as LeBron and AD has been together, as long as Anthony Davis has been on this Lakers team, you would think by now, especially after the playoff run that he had last year, that he would essentially take that next step. He could take that next leap because Anthony Davis, like I mentioned earlier, when I was doing my top 10 players list, if you haven't seen that, go watch it. But yeah, when I did my top 10 players list, I said a healthy Anthony Davis is a very scary Anthony Davis. Let me fix my headphones real quick because they're like choking me. Hold on. Yeah. Look at the balance. Look at the balance on your boy. Yeah. Anyway. Um, but yeah, a healthy Anthony Davis is a very dangerous Anthony Davis, and availability is the best ability, and it's the most underrated ability in all of the NBA, in my opinion. Um, so he and Gilbert Arenas had an interesting conversation about this essentially after the game and talking about what AD and what he was saying, and he was essentially saying like, if I can get you to miss those first 6 shots, then I really, and you give up, like you don't shoot, don't continuously try to get points or continue to chuck up another 15, 20 more, and essentially use the word quit, say that Anthony Davis quit, then I'm good. I've broke you. But for someone that, I'm gonna just use Steph Curry, for someone that may miss his first 6 shots, but is going to chuck up 20 more. That's a dangerous motherfucker. That's someone that you have to continuously, like, okay, like I know he may be in a slump. He may be cold right now, and it's just be maybe the first quarter, but I know going down the line, he may turn it up, and I have to continuously watch and keep my eye on him. May not be the same with Anthony Davis. Now, again, this was the very first day of basketball, so in the Phoenix game, he was, I would say, better, but it's still gonna be. It seems like an issue where Anthony Davis has one good game and he has one bad game. But for this instance, he had one good first half, and then essentially, I don't like using the word gave up, but essentially did nothing in the second half. Can't do that. You can't do that, especially when you have Jokic on the other side of the ball. You can't do that. The worst at worst you can do, make Jokic work on the defensive side of the ball. Got to do something different. You can't be essentially, I'm not trying to use the word give up, but you can't stop trying to look for your shot. You can't. Jokic in that third quarter, 80 or Jokic didn't score in that third quarter. I believe so. And it didn't take until like the end of the third or like early fourth until Jokic actually shot the ball and actually made it. But Jokic continuously shot the ball. Not to say AD wasn't, but Jokic continuously shot the ball, even though he started out poorly in that third quarter. Jokic shot 12 of 22, opposed to 86 of 17. And my point that I'm trying to get across is that Jokic never stopped looking for his shot, opposed to AD, who did. Speaking of Jokic, on the night, shot 12 of 22, 3 of 5 from 3, 12 from the free throw line, 13 points, 11 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and had 29 points on the day. A triple dub from him. KCP had 20 points as well. I said Jamal Murray had 21 and 6, along with a block. and Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. chipped in with 15 and 12 respectively. Again, this was a good game. I'm not essentially going to go too hard on AD because again, this was literally the very first game, like the very first game of the season. So I'm not finna go too hard on Anthony Davis, but it continuously seems like this may be a pattern. It's looking like this is probably going to be a pattern going forward, and I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping Anthony Davis is healthy. I'm hoping Anthony Davis doesn't have that streak where he has a good game and then have a bad game and then have a good half and then have a bad second half. I really want to see Anthony Davis do well. I like him. I really like this team. I like this Lakers team a lot. I think that they're going to be really good going forward. And I think what's really going to hold them back is they go as far as Anthony Davis takes them, and obvious as obvious as that may seem, they're going to go as far as Anthony Davis takes them. So it's solely up to that man and to make sure that you know he's doing his best or a day or a night. And okay, my camera. I'm sorry if my camera's like extra laggy. Probably because I'm sharing my screen. But anywho, looking at this Suns Warriors game, Devin Booker. Before I even say anything, we need to start putting respect on this man's name. 32 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 3 of 3 from the field, 3 of 8 from the 3-point line, shot 13 of 21 from the field as a whole. Please start putting respect on this man's name. I said it before the season started, and I will say it again. He is going to wholeheartedly be their point guard for this season. A lot of people were stressing. The Suns don't have a point guard. They're going to have to run Beal at the point. They're going to have, no. Put some respect on this man's name. Devin Booker. It's really looking like if he keeps playing like this, if he has a stat line, I'm just throwing out numbers. If he has a stat line of, let's say, 28, essentially the same stat line he had tonight, if he has a stat line averaging around 28, 29 points, 8 assists, 8.5 assists, around 5, 6 rebounds a game, and the Suns are the number 1 seed, which I predict them to be, please, man, y'all are going to have to put that man, give that man his flowers, give that man his respect, because it's getting to a point where it's like, damn, that nigga's becoming underrated because he's so good and he's not getting the respect he deserves, essentially. And he would be in MVP conversations, in my opinion. But obviously, that's looking way down the line. But just throwing out numbers, if he continuously puts up these type of numbers and is impacting the team on winning, which is if he has the ball in his hand, if the offense is running through him, I'm just saying. Shouts out to Devin Booker, man. Like I mentioned, a great, amazing stat line. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, if the Suns want to be successful, if they want to be a good team and a championship caliber team, they have to run the ball. They have to run their sets through Devin Booker. KD didn't shoot that well in the first game. Shot 7 of 22, 3 of 6 from the free throw line. Shot 50% from the 3, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and only 18 points. Josh Okogie, who I'm great wing 3-and-D guy, shot 7 of 9 from the field. Had 17 points, 5 rebounds, was steal, plus minus was 2. Yusuf Nurkic, who's I think is fitting better with this team than Ayton was. Had 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, had 14 points as well. And Eric Gordon, who I understand it has been 2 games, but holy man, this man is forgot how to shoot the ball. This man is honestly forgot how to shoot the ball. Shot 4 of 16, 2 of 9 from the 3, had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, and only 10 points. Eric Gordon, if you are going to be a 3-point specialist, if you are going to be a dude, and I'm saying this now because when we look at the Suns and Lakers game, holy shit, his stat line does not look even any better. And when you're watching him play the game and you see him shoot these shots, it's like, dog, hit something, please. Please. If you hit 2 more of those threes, the Suns probably wins that game last night. But Eric Gordon, please hit the shots. Please hit your shots, brother. If you're gonna be taking those deep ass, contested ass threes, please hit those damn threes. That's all I'm gonna say. Looking at the Warriors, Steph doing Steph things. 27 points, shot 8 of 20 from the field, 4 of 14 from the three. Actually, he's not doing Steph things. He had an off night. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Pretty average. The come bucket himself had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. Newly acquired guard Christopher Paul had 9 assists, 2 steals, 6 rebounds, 14 points, shot 4 of 15 from the field, and 0 of 6 from the three. Paul, I think you can tell it's just an adjustment period. Um, Again, I don't want to be too critical, kind of like how I was with when the NFL season was started. I don't want to be super uber critical on these guys just yet. You got to give it honestly. You really got to give like these dudes till like what is it, October essentially. Really got to get these dudes till like fucking really December, like mid-November to like December to like people really start like clicking for real. It's not really to like all-star break till we really see like teams like clicking like that. But yeah, Paul last night, not last night, but on Tuesday, he just was missing shots, easy shots that he normally makes. Wig had shot 4 of 12. Really, just everyone shot the ball bad. 10 points, 15 points from Klay Thompson as well, 6 of 18, 3 of 11 from the three. Everyone just shot the ball bad. So that's why I'm not too hard on these boys because you really, if a couple more of those threes drop, a couple more of those layups that clank off the rim, drop a couple more of those mid ranges drop from CP, talking about a different game. But yeah, man, that was night one. It was a very good night. Obviously, just happy that basketball was back. But the biggest story about it was the whole Anthony Davis thing and Devin Booker just doing Devin Booker things, just being phenomenal, being amazing. So, moving on to day two. Now, this is when we have a lot of games, and I won't be going in depth on these games at all. I only really watch like 2 of these games. Other than that, everything else, just look at the highlights for. Um, I know it's bad potting, I know, but yeah, I remember at this time I didn't leave until Thursday, so I really wasn't able to watch like any games because I was busy. But yeah, for the games that I did watch, the 2 games that I did watch was the Celtics and the Knicks, and which I was gonna give its own like little timestamp to give it in depth on, but it's so much shit that I have to talk about, guys. I don't want to make this a 3 hour pod. I really don't. But yeah, I watched the Celtics and the Knicks, and I watched if this would load. Can this load? I watched the Dallas Mavs and the San Antonio Spurs. So I wanted to see Wemby's debut, and I wanted to see how uh Kyrie and Luca was gonna look. But quickly just going over these, the Magic demolished at home the new look Rockets. Um Kristaps might be better than Jalen Brown on the Celtics team. That's crazy to say. But no, and all jokes aside, Kristaps, his ability to create for JB and JT is crazy. His motion and gravity that he pulls is kind of an effect of like a Stephen Curry, but just to a lesser degree. And you think, well, why are you comparing Kristaps Porzingis to Steph Curry? Because the opportunities that he creates. First off, the Celtics have never had like a dominant big. The Celtics have never had a dominant big. Never. Never. In the era of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they never had a dominant big. People are like, oh, what about Al Horford? Al Horford is not a dominant big. Kristaps can go out and be dominant. Kristaps can go out and give you 25 and 11 and be dominant without having to play within the system. You can just go throw him the ball on the block and just say, go get us a bucket real quick. Al Horford can never do that for you. And Robin Williams, as great as he was for that team, could never do that for them. So I think that is a plus. Defensively, I think he is better than Al Horford. And he's on par, if not a little bit better than Robin Williams. So you have essentially a hybrid, a better offensive version of Al Horford. Don't miss too much on defense when Robin Williams, and you merge them together, you get Kristaps. Also, with him being essentially his return back to New York, you want to make it a special game. You want to make it, cool. You want to make it, it's a lot of history that goes into that game. So Kristaps had an amazing game. He had 31 points, I believe. This is one game actually. Let me look at almost exited out. Let me look at the actual game stats. But before I talk about Kristaps, Tatum is doing Tatum things. Tatum keeps doing the things that he's doing. Like honestly, could at the end of the season be a top 5 NBA player. I have him. If you missed it in my last episode, I have him right outside the top 5. I have him like number 6. But if he takes that next leap, very consistent playmaking, take some leaps and bounds. Hopefully, he only had 4 assists this game, but it was really just him and Kristaps. They were just going back and forth, just torching the Knicks. But yeah, I really want to see some things from Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown they really didn't need him to go off, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. But I'm gonna quickly go through these stats because this was one of the games that I watched. So I actually wanted to give my 2 cents on this New York Celtics team. Jaylen Brown, like I mentioned, didn't shoot the best. Shot 4 of 11, 0 from 4 from the 3. 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, only 11 points. But Kristaps, the man of the hour, shot 8 of 15, 5 of 9 from the 3, missed only 1 free throw, had 8 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, but 4 blocks on the night, and chalking up with 30 points. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Like, it's nice. That's very nice. If you're a Celtics fan and you were shaky or iffy on Kristaps for some reason, that hopefully that went out the window. Hopefully all that is gone out the window because that is exactly what you want from Kristaps. Grabbing you about 8 or 9 boards. Hopefully he can average double-digit boards. I think he can. But having to share boards with Tatum and Brown and Al Horford, he's probably gonna get you around. He's probably gonna get you around 8 or 9. I'm not dissing 8 or 9. I'm happy with that. If he gets you double digits, that's even better. But anyway, having somebody that can go get you 8 or 9 boards, having somebody that can get you essentially another 20 to 25 point per game score. And if you want to dumb it down a bit, he can get you 8. He can average 18, 19, 20, hell, 22, 23 points per game. And Kristaps. And if he goes off, he's having those nights when he's going off. You see what he's about. You see he can go get you 30. You see he can go essentially lead the team in scoring alongside Jason Tatum. And he doesn't mess up the defensive scheme that the Celtics run. He can play off ball. He can play on ball. He was switching on quickly a little bit. He was shutting down Randall for a majority of the game. Anything that was coming inside the paint, it was dead. Blocked Jalen Brunson a couple of times. Like, Kristaps is a very good addition to this team. He's a damn good addition to this team. Very good. Very good addition to this team. I really like what I saw from Kristaps on Tuesday. I mean on Wednesday. So I will be watching him very closely because I caught a couple of his games in Washington last year when he was a Wizard, and I was just looking like, man, if he was on a contender, this dude would be probably like a very good. He'd be a damn good. He'd be a damn good player on a contending team. And essentially, I think that's what it was. Like he balled out on a mediocre team, had some of his best basketball since really New York, and now he's playing for a team that is hoping to win a championship this year. So big ups to Kristaps, man. I'm very excited for him. Drew doing Drew things. I love Drew Holiday, but this is something that's probably going to be a pattern with Drew. 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 5 from three, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, 0 steals, only 9 points. As much as I love Drew Holiday, I really do love that dude. He helped the Bucks get a championship in 2021. So there's nothing bad I can really say about Drew Holiday. But Celtics fans, I will say this. Just be ready for that man to be inconsistent. Be ready for that man to have those nights where Drew Holiday will go up for 20 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, can't miss from three, locking down the other team. Get ready for those nights because I've seen a couple of those nights. And get ready for these nights too, where he's giving you like 6 points, shooting like 10 of 51 or some shit, shooting, let me be realistic, shooting like 9 of 18, or not even 9 of 18, 9 of 25 from the field, shooting 2 of 15 from the three, can't make a free throw, still playing decent defense, but no assists, barely any boards, couple turn, like Drew Holiday is going to have them games and more than you'd like. Let me say that. He's going to have them more than you'd like. I'm gonna just say that more than you like. And come playoff time, it's gonna be a couple of those times where he's having a lot of those stinker games. He's gonna have a lot of those stinker games. So Boston fans, be ready. That's all I'm gonna say. But he didn't have a great game. Obviously, it's one game, but having to watch him for essentially like every week when he was in Milwaukee, I've seen a lot of that shit firsthand. I've seen a lot of it firsthand. I've seen a lot of it firsthand. And it's not fun. It's very irritating at times, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Looking at the Knicks, this is going to be an interesting team. Brunson, essentially everyone just shot the ball bad. Couldn't nobody hit a shot. The leading scorer was RJ Barrett, 8 of 20 from the field, had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 24 points on the night. Julius Randle doing Julius Randle things, 5 of 22 from the field, 3 of 8. 11 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 14 points. And Jalen Brunson, not that great of a game as well. 6 of 22, uncharacteristic game for Jalen Brunson. 3 of 8 from the field, 6 assists, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, and 15 points. Quickly off the bench, who is a lot of people's 6 man of the year candidate, which when I do my awards race, it will be hopefully sooner rather than later. I probably should have started it before the season, but I wanted to get those standings out first. So whatever. But I'll eventually do my award predictions probably sometime next week or within a couple of weeks. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. But quickly off the bench was easily the next best player. 7-11 from the field, 5-7 from three, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and had 24 points as well, as long as RJ Barrett. So yeah, man. Knicks is going to be an interesting team to watch. Celtics are going to be an interesting team to watch just to honestly see how Jaylen Brown, I think, is going to have to adjust. I think Jaylen Brown is another person that probably have to adjust just a smidge to having Kristaps on the field. Jason Tatum, I don't think has to adjust to anything. Really, I think it's just him working on his playmaking. Kristaps obviously has to adjust as well. But I think the team will be fine. I think they'll still be a very good regular season team. I think they'll be second, third, first seed. It's really just like a battle between who's going to get that one seed between them and Milwaukee and Philly if they're good this season. But yeah, it's really just going to be a battle for the first seed between Boston and Milwaukee this year. And I'm here for it. And I don't want to see that on my thing. So I'm just going to get rid of this. But yeah, going through all these other games quickly, real quick. Um, Pacers beat the Wizards by 20. Tyrese Halliburton had a fairly good game. Most improved candidate right here, maybe. 20 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists. Kyle Kuzma had 25 and 2 rebounds. The Hornets, who I'm actually surprised won this game because they were losing when like I was seeing highlights and like score updates for like the Hawks were winning well a good chunk of this game. But yeah, Hornets beat the Hawks 116 to 110. Terry Rozier leads all scores with 24, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. Trey Young, 23 points, 1 rebound, and 9 assists. Quick close game in Toronto as they beat the Timberwolves 97 to 94. Ant had 26 and 14, as Dennis Schroeder had 22 and 7. Miami sneaks one away from Detroit as they beat them 103 to 102. Cade Cunningham has 30 points and 9 assists as Jimmy Butler finished with 19 and 13 rebounds. Just make sure I'm still recording. Not recording, but make sure my camera's still working. Okay, cool. And a game winner we had in Brooklyn with Donovan Mitchell hitting the game winning shot, which is I saw the highlights of this game. This was a really good game. And Max Strus leads Cleveland with 27 points and 12 rebounds, and Cam Thomas led all scorers with 36 points. And I want to say this real quick. I know I said I wasn't going to go too in depth on these other games, but man, if Brooklyn, if anybody works for Brooklyn Nets and y'all see this, please start Cameron Thomas. I understand. He may not be good defensively, but let's just look real quick. Let's just look real fast. I just want to look real quick at their starting lineup that they had starting. Let's just take a peek real fast before I even get into these other games. Because Brooklyn is defensively is a pretty solid team. Pretty darn solid. So if you look, you have Ben Simmons, Spencer Dinwiddie, Nick Claxton, Cameron Johnson, and Mikal Bridges. On the bench, Finney Smith, Royce O'Neal, and Cam Thomas. Making a lineup of Ben Simmons. What is Cam? What is Cam? A guard forward slash guard forward, shooting guard, 3 guard, two guard? Yeah. Let's just say for the sake of for putting the starting lineup together, we're gonna say he's at the 2. So you have Ben Simmons at the 1, Cam at the 2. If you want to be crazy and throw in some more defense, Dorian Finney-Smith at the 4, Mikal at the 5, and Nick Claxton Mikal at the 3, and Nick Claxton at the 5. Really, the only defensive liability that you have would be Cam Thomas, but you have 4 very good defenders that can pick up the slack for him. And looking at the per 36, I looked at the per 36 that Cam had. If he would have actually like started the game, the nigga would have 54 points. He would have had 54. Would have been the most in NBA history for a player. What was it? Would have been the most for in NBA history, I think, on like opening night or some shit like that. Or I could be wrong. It was some stat like that. He would have had 54 in the night, and they would have 100% won this game. Even if they would have played him a little bit more down the stretch in that fourth quarter, opposed to just trying to throw him in the last 10 seconds while he's cold after you took him off his rhythm and to go hit a game winner. Come on now, Brooklyn. Give that man Cam the ball more and give that man Cam a starting job. I understand he may be a defensive liability, but you have the defensive minded players in the Mikal Bridges, in a Nick Claxton, in a Ben Simmons, in a Dorian Finney Smith, and a Royce O'Neal that you can surround him with. You can surround him with defensive players. This isn't a Dallas situation where y'all have no defense and y'all just all offense. No, you have defense that you can surround him with, but y'all not pulling the trigger on him. I don't know why. I don't know what it may be. I frankly don't care because y'all lost and could have been very much avoided. Could have been very avoided. But big ups to Cleveland on the win as they win with a game winner, like I mentioned, 114 to 113 by Donovan Mitchell. The Pelicans, another team that I was looking at the comments for, people was talking about a team that I don't want to say forgot, but a team that I didn't mention in my Western Conference rankings. Um I view them as like the Thunder. If they're healthy, well, I view them as the Thunder. I feel like the Pelicans and the Thunder kind of have that similar pathway. The Thunder, realistically, if everything falls into place and everyone plays how you would expect them to play, they could realistically be like a 4 or 5 seed. Realistically. Same thing with the Pelicans. But the reason I did not mention the Pelicans is strictly just off Zion's health. I don't know if Zion's going to be healthy or not. I don't. If Zion is healthy, I will eat that bullet and say I missed it. I say I missed it. But if he's not healthy, I'm not going to keep betting on this team. I'm not going to keep betting on this team right here, the Pelicans, to say, oh, man, if they were just healthy. Because essentially, I'm sounding like the Clippers. And it may sound crazy, but it's like, oh, but you bet on the Clippers to be healthy, but you didn't bet on the Pelicans. The thing is, with the Clippers are a better team than the Pelicans. Call me crazy. That may be a hot take. I think the Clippers are a better team overall than the Pels are. And if you have a Kawhi Leonard that goes down, or you have a Paul George that goes down, you still have other pieces around it that can carry that team to a legit playoff spot. Whereas with the Pelicans, we've seen once Zion goes down, that team falls apart. Falls apart. Barely can make the play in. Can't even make the play in most times. As in with the Clippers, if you have one of your two best players go down, we've seen what happens when Kawhi is just a Kawhi-led team. They damn near beat the Suns in that playoff series. And we seen what happened when it was just a Paul George-led team. They made the playoffs. So I'm thinking because this is most likely going to be their last year together and with the Clippers and for the Pelicans, I think the Clippers will be a more healthy team than the Pelicans will be. And I could be wrong in that the Pels Zion plays 65 games and they're a top 4 seed in the West. I will gladly be wrong on that because I want to see Zion do good. But I could be wrong in the fact that neither one of these teams are healthy and both of their teams are fighting for a play-in spot. And my ranking goes how I predicted it to be. So essentially, this is just a wait and see type of thing. But I think the Clippers will be more healthy, and I think they're just a better raw overall team than the Pelicans are. So that's why I left the Pelicans out of my essentially Western Conference standings. I didn't forget them. I just don't think that they'll be healthy this year. It solely relies on Zion, and by them I mean Zion. If Zion is healthy, this we've seen that this team can be a top team, a top Western Conference team. If he's healthy for a majority of the season, then I will gladly be wrong in that situation. But if he's not, at that point, Zion is gone, and you try to build somewhere else. You try to look somewhere else because at this point, you can't keep running back the same team over and over and over again with the superstar that at some point seems like he wants to be there, and then another point you're hearing stuff that he doesn't want to be there. So We'll just have to see. The Bulls get blown out by 20 by the Thunder, a team that I think is going to be very good this year. 124 to 104, 124 to 104. Shea Gildress Alexander had 31, 5, and 10. And leading scorer for the Bulls, DeMar DeRozan, had 25 and 2. Right after this loss, apparently the Bulls players had a player only meeting. And obviously, you don't know what was said because it's a players only meeting. But if I'm going to do my due diligence and report what I think was said, essentially you got like veterans of the team like a DeMar and Zach LaVine, like, yo, we're not doing this shit this year. I understand we ain't got Lonzo. We're not doing that shit this year. We are not finna, give up and quit and nah. We're not finna keep doing that this year. If I'm the Bulls, if I'm one of those veterans on that team, like a DeMar DeRozan, like a Zach LaVine, I'm yeah, I'm getting in y'all ass, bro. Come on, tee up. I'm not finna do that this year. Kings beat the Jazz 130 to 114. Harrison Barnes lead all scorers with 33 points, and Jordan Clarkson at 24 and 6. Other game that I watched was Luka and the Mavs beating Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. Luka led all players with 33 points. Led all players in scoring, I should say, with 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. A trip dub on the night. Keldon Johnson had 17, 9, and 7. Almost a triple double. And this is a very good game. It's a very interesting game. I believe Kyrie also had 22, 23 points as well. Wemby, in his debut, only had 15 points, but he really didn't get a chance to really show anything or prove anything or even play because he just kept getting in foul trouble. A lot of it was ticky-tacky calls that could have went either the way, and a lot of it was just, yeah, nigga, you got to stop fouling. But essentially the game was over after Luka hit a step back three, and who was it? It was in Jeremy Shakin's face. Shakan? I think it's Shakan's face. Jeremy Shakan's face. And essentially it was that. Luka just was doing any and everything that he wanted to, but who I wanted to give their flowers to was their rookie big man, Derek Lively, who was their 12th pick this year in the draft. And if they start him, which I believe that they will, over a Max Kleber and over what's his name? Uh what's his name? Why am I blanking on Dwight Powell? I don't know why I was blanking on Dwight Powell, but starting him over a Dwight Powell and a Max Kleber, or if you want to start Maxi next to him, so you can have some other player that can space the floor. Hey man, I'm not, I'm not, I'm not wrong. I'm not against that at all because the starters that they had this game was Kyrie, Luca, and Maxi at the center, Grant Williams at the four, and Derrick Jones Jr. solely just to guard Wemby at the three, which I don't think they'll do really ever again. I don't think they're ever gonna have Jones starting. I think kids solely just had him starting just to guard Wemby, and because Wemby was in foul trouble, which is why he only had 11 minutes played, it was really just to guard Wembyama. But I think the starting lineups going forward, if you know they want to be serious about winning, these two don't change. Kyrie, Luca stay at the 1 and 2 position. Maxi, move him to the 4. Move Grant Williams to the 3, and have Derek Lively the second play the 5. Now, if you want to go purely defensive, you can have a Derrick Jones starting at the 3 position. You just have strictly, you know, and have Grant stay at the 4, move Derrick Jones to the 4, whatever the case may be. Um, and really the only spacers that you would have would be Grant, Kyrie, and Luca. But if you want to be essentially a team that can still space the floor but also still defensively be okay, you have Derek run that 5, have Maxi run the 4, have Grant have the 3, and still have Kyrie and Luca who Derek Lively again is a rookie in his first game had shot 7 of 8 from the field, played 30 minutes, mind you. 7 of 8 from the field, doesn't shoot threes. Had 10 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, and had 16 points. He was very good out there. He was demolishing Zach Collins on the Spurs side of the ball, and his ability pick and roll situations looks pretty well. He looks solid in a pick and roll. He's just very energetic. They still have Josh Green, who had a solid game as well at 11 points. Obviously, Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off the bench as well with 17. It's still, like I mentioned, I may be higher on this team than some other people are, and rightfully so, because defensively, just looking at this roster is nothing to really like bat your eye at. They have Rashad Holmes, who I think they should play more. Playing him alongside of Derek Lively or playing him alongside of Maxi Kleber, you know, you have two centers in Derek Lively, who I mentioned, and a Rashad Holmes, who can be that defensive big that can run the rim, that can block shots, that can rebound the ball for you. That would be very good that Dallas desperately needs, because you're not running Dwight Powell at the 5 and being serious about winning. And you're not running Maxi Kleber at the 5 and being serious about winning. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But looking at the Spurs, like I mentioned, Wemby had 5 fouls, so he rarely even was on the court. But when he was on the court, he looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. He looked, and ironically, he had the same exact stat line as Tim Duncan had when he was a rookie. I think it was like 15-5 or 15-2 or something like that. It was like 15 points and like 2 assists and 5 rebounds or something. Like he had like essentially like the exact same stat line as Tim Duncan in his first game. So that was fun. But yeah, the Spurs team is gonna be interesting because we're gonna see a lot of them because they have a lot of primetime games solely because of this man. So we're gonna see a lot of this Spurs team, and I will be watching Kendall Johnson closely. Devin Vassell, who led the Spurs in scoring with 23 points, was automatic from the mid range. My goodness, he couldn't shoot threes this night, but when it came to that mid range inside that 3-point arc, my goodness, that man could not miss. Lord have mercy. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching this team pretty closely. I like the pickup of Cedi Osman. I think he'll be a good addition off the bench. Another essentially point forward that you have. Jeremy Shokan was also very good. He didn't shoot the ball very well, but defensively, and he's another like point forward that you could have. So this team is gonna be a while before this team is relatively good. But this team, like I mentioned, man, when I was going on my rant about the Patriots and talking about Bill and Belichick, and I brought up Greg Popovich, looking at this team, you have essentially a bunch of dudes that can run the point. They ran Wemby essentially at the point, not point, but they having him bring the ball up. A bunch of dudes that can do a little bit of everything, that can run the point, that can pass, that can rebound, that can shoot, that can fend. So you give all that to a great mastermind and a great head coach and a Greg Popovich. Great things will happen from this team. I would not be surprised if this team plays above expectation and is somehow a playing team or is close to that playing spot. I would not be surprised because Greg Popovich, it'll solely just be because of Greg Popovich. Not solely be because, but I think it'll be because of a lot of these dudes playing to their roles, playing to their expectations. Obviously, Wemby was in foul trouble, but I believe if he wasn't in foul trouble, that 15 points maybe goes up to 20. You know, that one block maybe turns into 3, 2 steals. He turned the ball over a lot last night. I think it was just again, we got to give these dudes some time. Obviously, I don't think anyone's in a rush. I don't think anyone's expecting Wembanyama to go and drop 30 in his debut. But yeah, man, it was a good game though, nevertheless. And we're gonna be seeing a lot of of this Spurs team on prime time. So just be I'm gonna be watching them closely. I'm gonna be watching them closely. Again, I would not be surprised if the Spurs team makes a play in game. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this Spurs team sneaks their way into a 8 or 9 seed. I wouldn't be shocked. And the last game that we had on the day was the Clippers defeating the new look Portland Trail Blazers 123 to 111. Paul George led the team in scoring with 27 points and 6 rebounds as Malcolm Brogdon, who I forgot they had on this team. I thought they would have moved because it was reports that they were going to move him. So maybe they're keeping him around just for a little bit, just to essentially mentor Scoot. That's what I'm thinking. I think that's what they're doing. I could be wrong, and they're just probably keeping him just to keep him. But I think he probably stays to like the trade deadline, and they probably move him. But led all scores for the Trailblazers with 25. So all in all, pretty good games on not week, on the second day of NBA basketball. But now we get into the two best games this week. And just so you know, I'm serious. We talking Bucks in the Sixers, baby. Ooh, whew, ooh, that feels so much better. We're talking the Bucks and the Sixers, man. And I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth with these two games, seeing as it was only two games last night. And what are the games today? Because I think the Warriors are playing the Kings, right? Or am I tripping? Is that Saturday? I think that's Saturday. Yeah, that's Saturday. So never mind. Oh no, it is today. Warriors are playing the Kings and the Heat are playing the Celtics. So those are going to be the two games that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be looking closely at. Other games, Thunder and the Cavs would be fun to watch. Rockets and the Spurs is going to be a fun game to watch. Dallas versus Brooklyn will be interesting. And that should be it. Well, yeah, that's really it. I'll give my predictions on who wins those games after I go in depth on these two games. But yeah, let's look at the Bucks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And man, I'm not gonna lie. Before when we made the trade to get Damian Lillard, I'm not gonna lie. I was happy but a little nervous. I was happy but a little nervous. Let me make sure I'm still going. Make sure I'm still going. Okay. I was a little nervous just for the simple fact that Dame isn't the defender that Drew is. So backcourt wise, they're gonna take some hits. I'm not gonna lie. Dame also, like Drew, has a tendency to be inconsistent. Not as much as Drew, because I think Damian Lillard is the better basketball player. Dame is a top 10 talent, and Drew is at best top 20, top 25. Probably you can make an argument for he's lower. So I'm not finna sit up here and act like that Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday are on the same level. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like that. But Drew fit the system so well that it at times made him look better than probably that he was, if that makes sense. However, however, Drew Holiday could never do what Damian Lillard did last night. Never. On his best day, he's not doing that. On his best day, he's not doing what Dame did last night. Basically put up 40. And the biggest issue that we had coming off of last season's playoff woes and losses to the Miami Heat, even just in the regular season as a whole as well, Damian Lillard is another closer for our team. and not just another closer. Damian Lillard, you can argue, is the best closer in all of basketball, and he's on the Milwaukee Bucks alongside probably one of, if not the best player in all of basketball in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I have him at 2. I would not be mad at people that have him at 1. I wouldn't. But with all that being said, Dame fixed a lot of stuff that was problems for Milwaukee. One was isolation scoring, 2, spacing, and 3, closing out games. And a bunch of other stuff that you could add. Playmaking, another ball handler, just someone outside of Giannis that could go essentially get their points anytime that they want to. Not to say that Chris Middleton can't do that, but he's not doing it at the same level of a Damian Lillard. He's not. Same thing with Drew Holiday. Not to say Drew Holiday can't go get his own bucket, but he's not doing it at the level of a Damian fucking Lillard. He's not. He's just not. So I want to go over. We're going to talk about the Sixers in a second, but I want to go over Dame's stats. Dame, as a whole, shot 9 of 20 from the field, 4 of 12 from the three, shot 17 of 17 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 39 points on the night. Another thing that stuck out to me, well, 2 things. One, he didn't even shoot the ball that well. That's was honestly like a little scary. Is that Dame didn't shoot the ball well. He shot 4 of 12 from the 3-point line and shot a cool 45% from the field as a whole. But the 17 of 17 from the free throw line is crazy. It's crazy. Because looking at free throw percentages, Bobby Portis shot 0 of 4. You got Jay Crowder, Pat shot 2 of 2. Chris Middleton shot 1 of 2. Giannis shot 3 of 9 from the free throw line. Dame, when that shot is not falling, is going to consistently drive and pound the ball inside. Because on top of being one of the best shooting guards, one of the best shooters at the point guard position, Dame can also create and put pressure on the defense inside of the paint that Drew Holiday could just never do. He just didn't have that ability in him. He just didn't. So the dynamic of having Giannis be on the boards, and Giannis was on the boards, 4 offensive rebounds, 8 rebounds defensively, 12 total, and having a deep threat that you can just kick it out to. Offensive rebound, where's Damian? Come here, Dame. Oh, he's covered. Chris Middleton, I got you. Oh, Jake Crowder, you're open. Ooh, I got you. Oh, Pat Connaughton, you're open. Boom, I got you. Brooke, you're open. Boom, I got you. You know what I'm saying? They have a multitude of weapons now for Giannis to give the ball to. And the one thing that I really liked about Dame last night is that he was trying his ass off on defense. I've never seen Damian Lillard play so many passing lanes. I've never seen this man so aggressive, rolling his shorts up on defense. That man was, come on. That man is hungry. That man wants a championship. And I think that's what the Bucks are missing. I think the Bucks are missing that. Kenny the Jet Smith said this perfectly on Inside the NBA. He said a perfect analogy. He had a perfect analogy for this. When him and Akeem Olajuwon and the Rockets won back in the 90s, they won. And it went from, okay, we got us one. Now let's see if we can get us another one. When they got someone that hadn't won, but was also very, very good, but was just on a losing team, and ironically is from the Portland Trailblazers, when they got Clyde Drexler, and you could see Clyde is like, fuck all that. Fuck all that. Let's see if we can get another one. I want my first one. Give me one. Give me one. I want one. I need me one. I'm hungry. I'm doing whatever it takes to get this ring on my finger. And Damian Lillard is having that same mentality that the locker room, you can just tell it's eating off of. You can just tell everyone in that locker room is like, oh, this boy wants it. Damian Lillard wants this. I think the Bucks, not to say that they lost their championship mentality, not to say that they weren't trying to get another championship. I wholeheartedly think they were trying to get one. It went from we need to go get this championship to we're we good. Let's see if we can go get another one. It went from fuck that. We need to go get us one to maybe let's we need to go get us another one, man. Like we got us one before. We see if we can recreate that. Nah, nah, nigga. This I'm loving this. I'm loving this as a Bucks fan. As a Bucks fan, I am loving this. Now, a Damian Lillard that is continuously going to be how he is on offense, how he was in Portland. Mind you, Damian Lillard is coming off of averaging 32 points last season. So he's not coming off of a bad year. Let's get that. Like, he was outside of my top 10, but could easily have been a top 10 player if we really thinking about it. The man came off of a losing team but averaged 32 points. The man is still one of the best players in the NBA for a reason. For a good reason. He's not slowing down. It doesn't seem like he's slowing down any bit, barring any injuries, hoping that he stays healthy for a good chunk of the season. Barring any injuries, he's still a deep threat. He can still pressure the rim that not a lot of guards can do. He can play make. He can handle the ball. He's another playmaker for alongside Giannis. He's a perfect complement piece to Giannis. And I love what Giannis said when he got there. Like, yo, I want to make you feel comfortable. This is your team. Even though Giannis is the better player, this is your team. This is your team. Kind of essentially what fucking what's his name? D Wade did when LeBron went to Miami. D Wade and LeBron their first year in Miami, essentially, I don't want to say fighting for control, but there were two alpha males. Even you can make the argument at that time who was better between Wade and Bron. I'm not about to, but it's an argument. You can make it. But going into that next season, going into that 2012 season, Wade and Bron had to talk like, look, this isn't going to work if both of us is trying to be the leaders of the team. If both of us is trying to be the alphas of this team, go be great. I'ma still be here. I'ma go get my 25 and be D Wade. Same thing what Giannis is doing. I'ma be great. I'ma still be honest. I'ma still go get my 26, 11, and 5 blocks. I'ma still go do that. You, on the other hand, I want you to feel as comfortable and be as safe as possible on this team. I want you to feel as comfortable and as at home and as possible on this team. Go lead the team. If you want to go shoot 25 shots, if you want to go do it. Damian, go do it. I don't care. I don't. As long as we're winning games and this results ends up with us with another ring on our finger, and with you getting your first ring on your finger, nigga, go average 35. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't care. I don't care. And I love that from Giannis. He immediately told him, this is your team. Go take it. This is your team. I don't want it. I don't want to stand in your way to make you feel like you have to accommodate me, because at the end of the day, I'ma still get mine. I'ma still get mine. I know how to get my own. I want you to know that you can come here and do the same thing you was doing in Portland without any issue, without any drama. I don't want none of that shit. And I love it. I love it. Dame, Angel, Oh, Adrian Griffin had that man Damian Lillard trying on defense. I saw that man rolling up in shorts, playing passing lanes, guarding Tyrese Maxey, even though that man Tyrese Maxey is a dog. He was very good. I will get to the Sixers in a second. But yeah, Damian Lillard showed out. And I love it. I would not be surprised if he's the leading scorer on this team. I would not be surprised if Damian Lillard averages 30. I would not be surprised if he put up the same averages that he did last season. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a possible MVP candidate. I wouldn't be shocked by any of those things because of the fact that Giannis is openly and noticeably taking a step back, like saying, like, yo, I don't want to step on any of your toes. I don't want to do any of that shit. I am going to take a step back and I'm going to let you be great. Because if that result ends up with us getting a championship, by all means, I will gladly go down from 26 to 27 points a game to 23. I would not be mad if Giannis's averages 23. Yeah, averages go down from like 28, 29 points to 24, 23 points. Because who cares? We're winning basketball games. We're winning playoff games. And hopefully, we're winning championships. Hopefully. So yeah, that's my little Dame, I guess, sesh that I had. But yeah, Damian Lillard looked amazing, bro. And another thing that I noticed, I love that they started Malik Beasley last night. I really like that. I love that they started Malik Beasley last night. He didn't have the greatest game in the world, but going forward, I would hope to see him in the starting lineup going forward. Now I'm saying I don't have a problem if we do start, say, a Pat Connaughton or a Jay Crowder, but just for the simple fact to know that we have essentially three guards and slash forward with Jay Crowder that we can have start at that shooting guard position, and a Malik Beasley, and a Pat Connaughton, and a Jay Crowder is really nice to know. And with Malik, I would think, would I say he's probably the best defender of the three, with a Sech, probably Crowder. But even still, he's the youngest out of the three. When he was in Utah, was amazing, 3-and-D guy. Kind of lost that mojo a little bit when he was in the LA, but looking here, he had 2 steals, 3 assists, 4 rebounds on the day. So I want to see a little something from Malik going forward. Brook Lopez doing Brook Lopez things. Shot 5 or 7 from the field, 3 or 4 from the three. Only 2 rebounds because Giannis was grabbing all of them, but still, I don't think that'll be a problem. 13 points. Giannis, who I mentioned earlier, had 23 points, 10 of 21, 0 of 3 from 3. I like this. Not gonna lie, I like this a lot. I like seeing Giannis attempt threes. I really do like this. This I don't like. This cannot keep occurring every single game. I don't want to keep having to see Giannis shooting relatively under like 65 to like under 70% from the free throw line. I don't want to keep seeing this. Obviously, this is one game, but Giannis is the biggest dude on the court 90% of the times. So you're going to be getting to that free throw line, brother. You got to hit him. You got to. I don't care if that man has to get in the lab with Damian Lillard himself. Get in the lab and hit your free throws. But had 12 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 7 turnovers. I think it was. I watched the game last night. He was trying to play that playmake role, point guard role. He was just trying to facilitate and just throw the balls. I think slow down a little bit, calm down a little bit. He was just, I think, trying to feed Dame, make sure Chris could touch the ball, make sure Brook touched the ball, make sure everyone touched the ball. And I love that. I love that out of Giannis because you have essentially a tall point guard, essentially a 6'11" point guard in Giannis, where you can have him hit Dame, hit Malik, hit Jay Crowder, hit Pat Connaughton, hit Bobby, hit Brook, hit Chris. So I think with time, I think he's just not used to that role because last season, obviously having Drew, who was, I don't want to say 100% the playmaker, but he was really the one that had the ball in his hands a lot. So It'll be. I think that 7 turnovers will go down. Obviously, I think it's just one game, and Chris Middleton obviously didn't play that much as a whole. I only played 16 minutes, but I think would have to make the biggest adjustment out of everyone on the team, just for the simple fact that he's no longer the second option, and it'll be interesting to see because normally going from averaging close to 20 points, maybe that 20, 18, 19 goes down to like 17, 16. Or he could be around the same averages, just I think just a little bit more consistent compared to last season. But I think Chris, out of everyone, would just have to make the biggest adjustment out of the entire big three or just the whole group as in general. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Chris Middleton adjusts going forward, but I want to see him. I don't want to just have it just solely be Dame Giannis, Dame Giannis, Dame Giannis, because as great as that duo is, teams come playoff time is going to figure out how to slow them down enough. So I want to see Chris also get going. I want to see Chris Middleton get going. I want to see that as well. But first game wise, I loved everything I saw. I'm not gonna lie. I loved a lot of stuff that I saw from this team. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was I was fairly impressed with a lot that I've seen from this team, and going forward, it'll be fun to watch. Going to the losers of the day, we have the 76ers losers. Joel Embiid did Joel Embiid things. Had a strong first half. Was okay in the third quarter, and then that in that fourth quarter, I believe the commentary was saying that he only had like 1 point. He only had like 1 point in that fourth quarter, and yeah, it's apparent that you can tell that he's missing having James Harden out there. You can see it just a little bit. He was chucking up a lot more shots than normally used to him doing. Had 9 of 21, 3 of 7 from the 3 point line, 3 of 8 from the free throw line. Had 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 turnovers as well. Had a crazy block on Giannis. DeAndre Milton, the 3 and D guy, had a off night. Shot 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from the 3 point line, 4 assists, 2 steals, only 10 points. Tyrese Maxey led the entire Sixers group in scoring. Shot 10 of 22 from the field, 3 of 8 from the three, 80% from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 31 points. Played 40 minutes as well. He was 100% their best player that night, alongside Kelly Oubre Jr., who had 27 points and great defense as a whole. Um, yeah, I really like the pickup of Kelly because you could really start him. Shit, you could really start him at the two if you want. If you want to be honest, uh, you can start his ass at the two if you want to be for real, and just have a lineup of him, Maxi, Joel, PJ Tucker, and Tobias Harris. But and Tobias as well had 20 points, 7 rebounds and 2 assists. Who relatively had a decent game. I'm not gonna lie. It was just that late fourth quarter stretch where Joel just didn't show up and shot the ball poorly. Only had 1 point, I believe, going into the fourth. I believe it was either going into the fourth or he only had 1 point in the fourth, or it was just the second half alone. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember like the announcers were saying like, yeah, Joel is essentially disappeared in the second half, and that didn't help. But yeah, Sixers obviously with all the James Harden drama, they didn't even let him get on the plane to travel on the road with the team because they have 2 opening games that are on the road, and it'll be interesting, man. It'll be interesting to see because they're most likely going to trade him. Like, I don't think we see a future with James Harden in Philadelphia anymore. It's just a matter of Do they trade? Do they try to keep him until the trade deadline? Because he has 1 year. He has one more year left on his deal. So if you're James Harden, are you trying to prove that 1 year deal and say I'm gonna just go ball out and try to give me some extra money next season? Or all right, if you're James Harden, not even James Harden, if you're Darren Moore, you hear all the stuff he said, having a press conference, having all these type of different things about being said about you, not just not just the team, but specifically you. And seeing the situation that you had last season with Ben Simmons and seeing how all that played out and holding on to Ben Simmons for so long and essentially messing up training camp and like it was just bad. It was just bad and it was just a bad look for not just the team, not just for him, but just for the entire Philly organization as a whole. Do you try to move off of him like quick as fuck? Do you just try to say, do you try to wait for the trade deadline? Do you try to move off of him now, like this week now, or like what is the case be? Because if you say, you know what, James, you got 1 more year, try and help us do something in the playoffs, at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. If we get an NBA championship out of this, great. You can leave an NBA champion. We got us a championship. We can part ways happy. But if they somehow, you know, hold on for him for another year and say, you know what, we're gonna let you play out your last year, your contract. Play good, you get your money elsewhere. If you don't, that's up to you. It's not our fucking fault. I don't think the state of Philadelphia, not the state, I don't think the city of Philadelphia is gonna let him come back. Like without booing his ass. Even if he plays well, I don't think they care. Because we get it. You have a problem with the GM Daryl Morey. We get that. What does that have to do with Joel Embiid? What does that have to do with Tyrese Maxey? What does that have to do with Tobias? What does that have to do with PJ? It has nothing to do with PJ. It has nothing to do with Joel. It has nothing to do with Maxey. It has nothing to do with them. You having an issue with the GM should not affect the team. It shouldn't, but yet here we are to the point where you have security of the actual Philadelphia 76ers like, yo, get your ass off this plane. You're not coming on here. Imagine if he suited up in Philadelphia, as crazy and as hardcore as those fans are, tries to suit up for them. He's going to get booed out of the building. He's going to get booed out of the building. He's going to get booed nonstop, like religiously, nonstop, to the point where it's like, why would you want him back? So the Sixers have an interesting dilemma because you have essentially another superstar or another player, I should say, wanting more money or feeling underappreciated or not liking how the team is ran or whatever the case may be, just more drama. And you don't want to make the same mistake where you hold on to him for too long, like how you did Ben Simmons last season. The Clippers essentially the Clippers talks has kind of like died down a little bit. Like the trade talks to James Harden going to the Clippers has essentially died down. I'm not saying they're done. Like the Clippers are just never going to pick up for Philly no more, but they've essentially died down. Now, do you do you have him sit into the trade deadline? Do you trade him? Try to trade him just as fast as you can, whether that be this week, next week, whatever, or do you just say fuck it? You are going to finish out this contract year. If you want to go somewhere, play good. If you don't play good, that's not our fault because after this season, you're not our problem no more. You're gone. We can part ways. That's why I would hope they can compromise to that case, but it's probably past compromising because James Harden has openly admitted and saying to the public, to all of basketball media, all of sports media, yeah, I love everyone else in the Philadelphia 76ers organization. I love all my teammates. I love everybody else. But Daryl Morey, fuck you. I don't want to play for an organization that is run by you. Why would you want that player even still on your roster? I get it. But, and the thing is, him doing that makes him harder to trade as well, because the Clippers, a team that was really interested in James Harden, like I mentioned, they've calmed down. They're like, we don't know if we want this nigga no more. Other teams that probably was maybe would have threw their hats in, maybe would have threw their 2 cents in, try to get James. They probably calmed down. Like, yeah, we don't know if we want this nigga no more because he's too much of a drama queen. He's too much of a headache. And just for the simple fact of, I'm gonna just keep it a buck, he's not the same James Harden of 2015, 2016. He's not that same James Harden no more. He's not the same James MVP James from 2018, 2019. He's not. He's not Houston James Harden no more. He's still good. He's still a very good player, still a good top 15, top 20 player, but he's not that James, not that same James Harden anymore. So why would we go through all this trouble for a player that's essentially a former shell of himself, and that's on top of that also is very injury prone? Why do we go through all this hassle? We're not going to do that. Y'all going to have to deal with that unless y'all making a crazy deal, unless y'all give us Joel on top of it, which Philly's not going to do. They're not going to do that shit. So as Philadelphia's got an interesting dynamic that we probably won't see played out. We probably won't see James Harden. We probably honestly won't see James Harden traded until the trade deadline, if we're being for real. I'm thinking, like, my thought process, I'm thinking James is probably going to stay the whole season. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's going to help his situation any further in Philadelphia, but I just think no one else wants him. I honestly, like, wholeheartedly think that no one else really wants James Harden. Like, as bad as like maybe other people would try to make it out to be. You know what I'm saying? Oh, damn it. I was going so long without my camera freezing, but it ended up freezing. Whatever. I went so long without my camera freezing. But yeah, I'm not I think he ends up staying the whole year just to finish out his contract, because he has one more contract. He has one more year left on his contract. You would hope that they could just say, fuck it, we're gonna play this 1 year last year out. James, go ball out, go be great, blah 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 blah. And this, that, and the third. But it's looking like that he's probably gonna get traded by the trade deadline. And I wouldn't have a problem with it. I personally wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm pretty sure all of Philly want him gone by tomorrow. But yeah, we'll just have to see, man. We will just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see what happens with James Harden. And I feel bad. The only person that I really like 100% feel bad for is Joel Embiid, man. He's had to have the worst luck with co-stars I've ever seen any NBA player have. He's got to have the worst luck that I've ever seen any other NBA player have. Because I've never in my 23 years of watching basketball, I've ever seen an NBA player get this much bad luck with having a co-star in Ben Simmons and now James Harden. I haven't seen that happen to anybody else in a very long time. And what's crazy is that it's back to back. It's not like he had Ben, then he had some years by himself or had a good year and then got James Harden. It was he got James Harden because they got rid of Ben Simmons. Like they were traded for each other. Like it's sad, man. I feel for him. I wholeheartedly feel for him. But enough talking about the East. Let's talk about the West. Let's look at the other game that was played last night. That being the Phoenix Suns losing to the Los Angeles Lakers 95, or excuse me, 100 to 95. And yeah, this was again a very interesting game as well, just for the simple fact of we had a bounce back AD game. AD led all of LA in scoring with 30 points, grabbing 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 3 steals, shooting 9 of 10 from the free throw line, and shooting 10 of 17 as a whole from the field, and hitting a three in the process. LeBron James came up very clutch in the final, like last 3, 4 drives. It really just on the whole, in the fourth quarter, going over his minute restrictions, having played 35 minutes. Normally, I think they said Darvin Ham and them boys was saying that they wanted LeBron to be averaging around like 28 to 29 minutes a game. Exceeded that a lot because they were it's still a close game in that fourth quarter, and they looked like, yo, LeBron, can you go for this fourth quarter? He said, hell yeah, put me in. And you saw what happened. Now, LeBron shot 50% from the field, 1 of 5 from three, 6 of 8 from the free throw line. Had 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and had 21 points as a whole. Austin Reeves chipped in with 10, and D'Lo chipped in with 14, shooting 6 of 16 and 1 of 7 from three. D'Lo, fix your jump shot, man. Please fix your jump shot, please. I know coming into this season, he was talking about how he was watching news like Pat Bev and wanted to be a good 3-and-D guy, working on his defense and stuff like that. Dude, you got to work on your offense for one, because these first 2 games, D'Lo has been fairly are underwhelming, like very underwhelming. I would not be surprised if he continues to play like this. He probably gets moved at the trade deadline. I'm being wholehearted, to be honest with you, because D'Lo is he's not a bad player. It's just his offense doesn't make up for the lack that his defense is just not that great. He played okay last night defensively. Had 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. So he played fairly decent offense, like defensively. But the offensive side of the ball is where he kind of plummeted. But it's been 2 games now where his shot kind of has been not there. So we'll just have to wait and see if he can bounce back. But yeah, man. Looking at I don't know why I scrolled up to the Suns, but yeah, LA. Um, like I mentioned, Anthony Davis doing Anthony Davis things. He, God diggity, damn it, Anthony Davis are doing Anthony Davis things. Had a bounce back game after a bad first game, and I just hope he doesn't make this a trend again this year where he has one good game and one bad game, one good half and one bad half. And I just don't want to see that again with Anthony Davis this year. I'd rather not. I'd rather not. In the post game interview, LeBron said himself, like, hey, nobody over here gives a shit what y'all think about AD. AD doesn't even be on social media like that, so he doesn't see half the things that people be saying. Even if you don't be on social media, even if you don't see it, I know that nigga can feel it. I know that man can feel the pressure of having be inconsistent. You can tell when you're being inconsistent, or in his case, consistent, because he'll have one bad game and have one good game. What Gilbert Arenas said, he'll have 41 bad games and 41 good games. And you got to figure out what is essentially block, like a mental block for him, as to what is stopping him from being consistent every single game. Now, am I saying Anthony Davis has to go drop 30 points, 11 rebounds, 8 blocks every single night? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying this man needs to go put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers in order for him to be good. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not. I'm not trying to put that much pressure on AD. But what I am saying is that the need to be good for majority of the games, you already have a problem, already have a history of being injury prone. On top of that, when you are healthy, we don't know which version of you we're going to get. We don't know if we're going to get the Anthony Davis that's going to give us 15 points, 9 rebounds, a block, shooting like 40% from the field, and isn't that great on the, just is average at best. Or we don't know if we're going to get an Anthony Davis that essentially last night, shooting 10 of 17, missing only one free throw, shooting 90% from the free throw line, getting double digit boards, getting 3 blocks, 2 steals, putting up 30 points. We don't know which version of 80 we're going to get. That's the only problem that I see with the whole Anthony Davis thing, is that we don't know which version we're going to get. Lakers players, organization, coaching staff maybe like, we don't care. Anthony Davis doesn't care. It's obvious though. It's apparent. It doesn't matter if you guys don't care. It doesn't matter if that was loud. It doesn't matter to me or anything. Obviously, because I'm not the one playing those games. Those guys are. They're on the court. I'm not on the court. So my opinion and can't really outmatch what LeBron and Anthony Davis and Darvin Ham and all those guys are saying, because they're on the court. They're there in person. I'm just watching on TV. So I'm trying to be respectful in that matter. But what I'm trying to implement is that there's something up here that's stopping him from being consistently the great 80. It's something up here that's consistently stopping him. I don't know if it's he doesn't want to go too hard and get hurt. If that's the case, then maybe put Anthony Davis on minutes restriction. Maybe you have to do that. And maybe at that point, y'all just got to be fine with probably not being a number 1 seed or number 2 seed. Y'all probably just have to be fine with being a 3 or 4 or maybe even a 5 seed. And then come playoff time, fuck it. Just give him every single minute, knowing the world, knowing the man. If that's the case, which if I'm in my continuity, in my agenda pushing that I'm trying to push, let me stop. But in my thing that I'm thinking is that AD is not trying to go so hard, and to the point where he doesn't want to push himself to the point where he gets hurt. Because you would rather have him be on the floor than be on the sideline in street clothes. I would rather have Anthony Davis be on the court than sitting on the bench hurt. Because we already know how that goes. We already know how that goes. We don't know how long he'd be out. The Lakers are going to obviously struggle defensively without him, and also offensively. And just for the simple fact of, you just don't want to see one of your best players go down with the injury and be out for multiple weeks. You just don't want to see that. So I think that's what it is. I think AD is not going as hard every single game, just for the simple fact of, I don't think he wants to get hurt. Now I could be wrong, and that's just how he is. He could just be going hard every single game, and that's just what he comes up with every game, every other game, whatever. And if that's the case, that's just how it is. That's just how it is going to be. And Lakers fans are just going to have to accept it. Another thing that I've been seeing a lot of is that people are saying, because LeBron is still relatively a top 10 player, AD really doesn't have to go that hard every single night, because you look across, oh, I got LeBron James on my team. He may not be the 2016, 2017, hell, even 2018 version of LeBron. He's damn sure not the prime version back in Miami version of LeBron, but he's still LeBron fucking James. So I can relatively not take some nights off, but I don't have to go as hard. But I feel like the Lakers are essentially forcing AD's hand. Like, look, LeBron is on minutes restriction, so he's not going to be playing a lot. On top of that, we really don't want to play him in the fourth quarter. So all these come behind wins that we're having to do, because both games the Lakers were down a lot. Both games the Lakers were down double. I think in the Denver game they were down by as much as I believe like 15, 14 points. They were down by as much as that. And same thing in the Phoenix game. They were down by quite a bit. They weren't down like as bad as the Denver game, but they were down by a decent amount, almost double digits. To a Phoenix team that didn't have Devin Booker or Bradley Beal playing. It was essentially just KD and a bunch of role players. So in that regard, when you have LeBron being on minutes restrictions and really not wanting to play him in the fourth quarter, you really don't want to play him in the fourth quarter because you want him to be. And if only time you really have to play him is if y'all truly need him, like last night. With that being said, I feel like the Lakers are really like trying to force AD's hand, like, yo, this is your team. Please take the team. Like, we don't want this team. We don't want LeBron to be the best player on the team. He can't help it because he's just that damn good, but we really don't want this man to be number one option on this team. It needs to be you. The Lakers team is going to go as far as AD takes them. So I hate for it to be LeBron is pushing himself too much to the point where he gets hurt, and then Anthony Davis is going to have to forcibly be the number one option because if LeBron gets hurt, knock on wood, LeBron gets hurt for a significant amount of time this year, and it's essentially just AD, Austin Reeves, and everyone else. AD is 100% going to be the number one option. And at that point, it's like, well, you kind of got to do it now. But it shouldn't have to change once LeBron comes back in the starting lineup is what I'm trying to get at. It shouldn't have to change once you have a damn near 40-year-old LeBron James coming back in the lineup, mind you. So Anthony Davis, he's a very confusing superstar. He's a very confusing player because I feel like everyone is trying to give him the keys to the city. We're trying to give it to you. Like we're dangling the keys in your face. Like, look, these are the keys. We're literally throwing it at your face. Like, here, take the keys. We don't want it. We don't want them. We don't want our 40-year-old player to have the keys anymore. He's trying to give it to you. It's just a matter of you want to take it and be consistent with it. So please, we're begging you. Please, just be consistent. That's all we want. Be great. That's all we want. Please. And I don't know, man. Obviously it's only game 2 for the Lakers, and struggling against a Suns team like I mentioned without Devin Booker and without Bradley Beal. I went in the Discord that I have with some people, and I asked the Lakers fans. I said, "Look, Lakers fans," and I was seeing on Twitter, "Look, Lakers fans, how do y'all legit feel about this win?" Some people were just ecstatic that they won coming off a loss against Denver. Some people was happy again that they won, but it should have been close. And some people just didn't give a shit. So what I'm trying to get at is this game, granted, yes, they have Kevin Durant, another great player on the other side of the ball. But that's really the only other option that you have on that other side of the ball that you really need to worry about. And towards the end of the game, they really started to figure out, like, yo, If we get the ball out of KD's hands, we don't have to worry about nothing else. Towards the end of the game, they was putting Christian Wood and AD on KD. Essentially, whichever one was on the other, they essentially would just leave their man to go double KD and just force him to try to pass to somebody else. And that would normally lead to a turnover or force someone else to go throw up a dump shot, and 9 times out of 10 it missed. So that's all I'm saying, man. Lakers is an interesting team just for the simple fact of defensively, they're one of the better teams in the league. They're one of the deeper teams in the league on paper. But as a whole, the team, and I want to get through these guys before I quickly go into the Suns. Cam Reddish, only 4 points. Granted, he only had 11 minutes, but still, only 4 points. Christian Wood, granted, I will give him somewhat of a pass because he played pretty good defense on Kevin Durant, only 7 points, didn't shoot the ball that well. Gabe Vincent, gave him a 3-year deal, a lot of money. Played him 35 minutes, shot 3 of 10, 0-5 from the 3, only 7 points. Rui Hachimura, only 7 points. Jackson Hayes, essentially, again, only 5 minutes giving him, but still another backup big for when AD is out. Another rim runner, 0 points. I'm not going to hold him to it too much because he only played 5 minutes, but still. And Taurean Prince, when he played, put up a donut. So I'm not the depth of the Lakers so far hasn't really showed me anything. Really, only 2 people that show me something is that AD is still really good when he wants to be, and LeBron in year 21 is still one of the best players in the league. Other than that, D'Lo hasn't found a shot. Austin Reeves still seems like trying to get his groove going. Taurean Prince had a good game and just had a bad game. Gabe Vincent hasn't really shown me anything. Rui is okay. Cam Reddish, I need to see more from him. Christian Wood, also need to see more from him. So we'll just have to see with this Lakers team, man. We have to wait and see. Again, this is literally hasn't even been 1 week of NBA basketball. Those guys are 1-1. This is literally the second game, so I'm not gonna be too harsh on them. I'm not gonna be too aggressive with them in that regard. But going forward, if these habits continue and we keep seeing these things from this Lakers team, that is going into the season was on paper to be one of the best teams in all of the NBA, title favorites coming out of the West, things of that nature. Got to see more out of you guys. But moving on to this Suns team that showed a lot of heart and a lot of fight. I love it. Looking at the man of the hour, lead all scorers, basically dropped 40. And the Durantula, Kevin Durant, shot 14 of 28 from the field to 50%. Didn't shoot the 3 well, only shot 1 of 5, 10 of 13 from the free throw line, 11 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 assists, 8 turnovers. That's not good. Like I said earlier, when I was breaking down in the opening week segment, if D Book is not out there playmaking, the Suns are in trouble. Simple as that. And the 8 turnovers shows right then and there. Now, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant's not the greatest playmaker in the world. He's okay, average at best. But when you have a Grayson Allen who's only giving you 6 points, when you have a Eric Gordon, like who I mentioned earlier, has been shooting the ball horribly, and your one job is to shoot the ball, you haven't been shooting the ball great, only gives you 15, but on bad shooting. Jordan Goodwin, who came off the bench and was fairly good in the first half, second half, disappeared. Yuta Watanabe, another 3-point shooter. Josh Okogie, who I felt should have been more involved in that fourth quarter in terms of guarding LeBron James instead of Eric Gordon for some reason. They were having Eric Gordon guard LeBron on those last couple of drives, which I thought was dumb. You have Josh Okogie, who is probably the best defender out of the starting lineup. Why are you not putting him on LeBron James, which makes no sense? And Yusuf Nurkic only gave you 4 points. So essentially, everyone that was in double digits either just shot the ball bad, or in Josh Okogie's credit, he only shot the ball 5 times, and 4 of those 5 times are 3-point attempts. So that's just not his role as to be a scorer. But when you have an Eric Gordon, whose role is to be a 3-point shooter, and for 2 straight games shoots poorly, yeah. And I'm not gonna give Jordan Goodwin any shit because he's a rookie. So, but yeah, it's no excuse to have 8 turnovers. But when you're essentially everyone else is essentially non-existent in terms of scoring the ball, and the one dude that you're relying on to shoot threes can't hit a shot to save his life, and Katie was out there forcing passes as well. It's gonna be an ugly game. It's gonna be a very ugly game. So yeah, it's gonna be an ugly ass game. The inactives was D Book, Damian Lillard, another 3-point threat that they could have used, and Bradley Beal. Just wasn't playing. So, but yeah, man, it was a good game nevertheless from Kevin Durant. He really just went out. If I'm Kevin Durant, I said this to one of my friends last night. I said, if I'm Kevin Durant, and the next game I think they play Saturday, I think the Suns do. I'm taking a break. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, look, I did my damnness. I tried. I almost beat the Lakers single handedly by myself. Y'all niggas can go solo squad with him. I'm not finna keep doing this, bro. I'm not finna keep trying to solo squad with a bunch of role players. I'm not finna keep trying to do this shit. I'm not. I left Brooklyn because Kyrie and James Harden kept getting hurt, and I had to do this. I almost did it against the Bucks. I'm not finna. I didn't come here to do that again. I'm just being honest. I didn't come here to do that shit again. But no, Katie looked very quick out there. I talked about it a little bit in my top 10 players list. Coming off that Achilles tendon tear, we need to give this man KD his props when it comes to coming off that injury that not a lot of players come off and be successful in doing. So yeah, shout out Kevin Durant, man. I know he gets a lot of flack, um, especially in the Twitter spaces of basketball. But yeah, Kevin Durant is slowly starting to become underrated because motherfuckers just don't appreciate how good this man really is sometimes. So yeah, shout out him. It was a good game. It was all in all, a good game. LeBron turned back the clock on those last couple of drives on essentially where he just did whatever he wanted against Eric Gordon and just finished off the top of Nurkic and was able to secure the win for them. So yeah, shout out the Lakers. Good win. Good solid win for them. And shout out to my Milwaukee Bucks in their debut, in particular Damian Lillard. Now I'm gonna quickly go through these other games. I'm gonna quickly go through these other games real quickly, just giving my predictions. I'm not gonna go in depth, you know, anything like that. I'm just giving my quick predictions. Um, I have Nuggets beating the Grizzlies, and I think Detroit bounces back after losing against 1 point against Miami by 1 point. This game I'm gonna watch, hopefully in its entirety. Actually, we'll see. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna be watching these 2 games. I probably have like this on my TV and this on my phone. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching these 2 games very closely because I'm gonna be interested. I want to interested to see how the Cavs and the Thunder play against each other, and obviously it's the Heat and the Celtics. It's gonna be a fun game. So, but I do think the Cavs win this game, and I think the Celtics win this game at home. Knicks and the Hawks have the Knicks. Spurs, I think, get their first win of the season. Bulls and the Raptors. I'm gonna say Bulls, Mavs, and the Nets. I'm gonna say Nets, Clippers and the Jazz. I got Clips, Warriors, and the Kings. I think the Kings win this one. I'm not gonna lie. And the Trailblazers and the Magic. Let's see the Trailblazers get a dub. All right, and that is all basketball wise, now we have some UFC news to quickly get through. And damn, I am already at 2 hours basically. I'm recording for an hour and essentially 55 minutes. I might have to take out in this recording session. I have NFL Week 7 recap. I might have to take that out. I'm not gonna lie. I might have to take that out, and we just probably won't have time to talk about the NFL Week 7 because it's a lot, bro. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna try and get through this UFC stuff real fast, and depending on how fast I get through this, I'm gonna just get my quick little recaps. I'm not gonna be sharing no screen or anything. Y'all just gonna see my face, my beautiful face for this one. So yeah, 294. Volk loss to via head kick, KO, TKO, whatever you want to call it, to Islam Makhachev. Now, that was really, and I guess Kamaru Usman also lost to Hamzat Chimaev via, I think it was majority decision. Yeah, it was a majority decision. Um, both of those fights were very good. I really like both of those fights. Even though the guy I was rooting for lost in both of those situations, wasn't. Yeah, both of the guys that I truly wanted to win lost. So I kind of wanted to see Usman win just to see him get back on his feet and get in the win column because he's lost 3 in a row now. And huge Volk fan, and to see him lose and get not only lose but get knocked out in that fashion was bad. But yeah. So quickly going over the Kamaru Usman fight and the Hamza Chimaev fight. Um, Kamaru is a very good fighter. That's not a surprise to anyone. But in the first round alone, to be able to manage and not get submitted, not get TKO, not get really succumb to any damage from Hamzat, essentially having him on your back for the first round for all 5 minutes was very good. Second round, I thought was very good as well. I thought that second round went to Kamaru. They really left it on the feet a little bit, and I think the third round you could say went to Hamzat because he actually showed a little bit both of wrestling and damage and control and all that stuff. Now, for the people that were saying that Kamaru won this fight, I get it. The first round goes to Hamza. Second round, I think, goes to Kamaru. Third round, you can make an argument that it goes to Kamaru as well. But I think Hamza did just enough. I think he did just enough to get that fight uh, to lean towards his way. Now, do I think he deserved the title shot? Fuck no. Do not give that man Sean Strickland. Please don't. He's currently the 9th ranked fighter, and he would be, I think, tied for the 3rd or 4th lowest ranked fighter to get a title shot. Please don't give that man Sean Strickland. Please don't. Do not give that man Sean Strickland. And I'm going to read what Sean Strickland said. I actually have the quotes this time. Don't give him Sean Strickland. Not to say that I don't think he's ready for Sean. I just don't think he deserves it. I think he could. I think he could beat Sean Strickland. That's not a question about it. I just don't think he deserves a title shot after that performance. Especially, I don't want to say the hype train of Hamza died because people are still hyped on him. I'm still hyped on Hamza. I think he still could potentially be a champion one day in the UFC. That's no question. I think he will be a champion come 2024 of the middleweight division. But not now. I don't think I understand this was essentially a number one contenders fight that they were trying to set up. I think though for 2 reasons. For one, just for hype, and two was to get Kamaru to sign because I don't think Kamaru is signing fights or signing away for fights if they're not for any way of trying to get him a championship again. So yeah. In terms of who Kamaru should fight next, I mean not Kamaru. In terms of who I think Hamzat should fight next, I would really like to see him fight Rob Whitaker. I'm not gonna lie. I would like to see him fight Rob, or or bear with me. I would like to see him. I would like to see him fight Jared Cannonier. One of the two. I would like to even say fight Rob or fight Jared. I would want to see him fight one of those two. And if he convincing, most likely Rob, but convincingly beats one of those two guys, then if Sean Strickland is still champion or whatever the case may be, I think you make that fight at that point in time. I think you make that fight because I think for the middleweight championship, it should be Sean Strickland versus DDP, Drake Du Plessis. I think that's the fight you need to make. 100%. Izzy has said himself, I commented and I've reported it on here. Izzy is taking a break from fighting, which I love. Take a break, take your much needed break because you've been fighting, it seems like, more than anybody, it seems like, especially in just being in title fights, let alone just being in fights, being the champion, losing the belt, getting the belt back, and then fighting for it. Take a break. Duplessis was the number one contender before Sean. He got hurt. Sean was not supposed to win the belt. By no means necessary. By any means necessary. He was not supposed to win that belt. But this isn't the WWE. Anything can happen in MMA. Anything can fucking happen. So I think the fight to make is Sean versus DDP. It probably won't sell like crazy, but I still think it'll be a relatively good fight. You have two dudes that are fairly good on the feet. Sean has pretty good takedown defense, even though Duplessis is a much bigger, stronger, guy out of the two. I think it could be a fun fight, and I think it could work. Now, let's say you have Hamzat fight Costa or Rob Whitaker or Jared Cannonier. I think those are the three people that you could set up for Costa. I mean, for Hamzat. Have him run it back with Costa, which I think they might do. Have him fight Whitaker, which I personally would love. I think that's the fight I would personally make. Not personally make, but I think that's the fight I just want to see. I think I'm just being a little mischievous. That's the fight I want to see. Or have him fight Cannonier. I think Hamza needs one more fight in the middleweight division. I think he needs just at least one more. I don't think he should just jump straight to a title fight against Sean Strickland, especially because DDP is literally just waiting. Like, yo, I was legit just beat Rob Whitaker, who I was counted out against everyone and counted me out against that man. He was essentially the number one contender that y'all was crowning. Y'all was ready to do a Izzy versus Rob 3, and I ruined that. So now it's my turn. Give me my earned title shot. What the fuck? Whether it be Israel, whether it be Sean Strickland, or whoever's having that belt, I deserve a title shot. And I don't think it should be Hamzat versus DDP, just for the simple fact that I don't think Hamzat deserves that just yet. You know what I'm saying? So I think those three opponents, I say, could possibly get Hamzat a title fight. Costa, Rob Whitaker, or Jared Cannonier. It's most likely going to be Costa, just for the simple fact that they just don't like each other, and that would make for good money, and it'll be a fairly entertaining fight. It should be a fairly entertaining fight. And also, it should move him up the rankings from ninth to like fifth or fourth or whatever the fuck. Now, Kamaru is a little bit more difficult, just for the simple fact that I don't know if he's staying at middleweight. I would personally like to see him stay at middleweight because I think it'd be some fun fights up there. Like my Marvin Vettori fight, I think would be fun. Jared Cannonier would be a fun fight. If Hamza doesn't fight Costa against Kamaru will be interesting. And Rob Whitaker, even himself, was like, yo, I would want to fight Kamaru Usman if he stays at middleweight. He said himself on Twitter, he's like, yo, make it happen. I want to fight him if he stays at middleweight. So if he doesn't and he goes back down to welterweight, goes back down to 170, I don't know what fight you make because he's essentially beat everyone except Leon Edwards. So you have this essentially Max Holloway syndrome where he's too good for everybody else, but it's like he just can't get over the champion. So it's like, I'm hoping he stays at middleweight just for he can get some new fighters and new competition. And I want to see how he looks at middleweight. Because he's currently on a three fight losing streak. So I would want to see what Usman looks like at middleweight. So give him. I don't want to say give him Rob, but I feel like the UFC is going to do that just for the simple fact that two dudes, everyone likes these two dudes. It's gonna make money. It's gonna sell, and it should be an entertaining fight. And with a full training camp and a full training camp sitting at that 185 weight, getting more comfortable opposed to doing it on short notice, I think it should be interesting. I think it could be a fight that people would want to see. I think Rob would win that fight just for the simple fact that he is the better stand up fighter of the two. And he might piece the fuck out of Kamaru. He might tear that man up, even though Kamaru looked fairly good against Hamzat on the feet. So we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see to see what Kamaru does because his plan that he said he wanted to do was beat Hamzat, go get a title shot, beat Sean Strickland or beat DDP or whoever, gets the middleweight belt, goes back down, beats Leon. Most likely he would hope to beat Leon for the welterweight belt and then retire after that, be a double champ and retire. Great plan. Will it happen? Probably not. Just for the simple fact that I don't see him. I don't think he wants to go back down to 170 and then 185. There's some tough dogs at 185. We'll just have to wait and see to hear him officially say like, "Yo, I'm staying at middleweight," or "Nah, fuck this, I'm going back down to welterweight." So I think he's personally going to stay at middleweight, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, moving to the main event. Oh, actually, before I say that, let me read what Sean Strickland had to say about Hamzat. And I quote, this is from the man, the myth, the legend himself, and Sean Strickland, the current middleweight champ. As you can see, I'm not making any of this up. He said he doesn't fucking deserve a title shot, but here we are. Give it to him. He sells a lot of fights. I'll go fucking fight the man for 5 rounds. But no, he has not earned it. He doesn't fucking deserve it. And getting a decision with a welterweight off the couch doesn't fucking earn it. Which a lot of people essentially were saying, which I agree with them 100%. I agree with Sean Strickland 100% on this. Hamzat does not deserve a title shot. He doesn't. Give him another fight or two at middleweight. See how he does. Then, if he wins, say, against Rob or against Costa or against both, whatever the case may be, then yeah. If Sean Strickland is still champion, make the fight happen. And I forgot I had the quote where Rob Whitaker said about Kamaru Usman. He said, "Is Kamaru going to stay at middleweight? I don't know. The fight interests me. I like that fight. I'd fight a middleweight Usman. I don't think it's a bad fight to have." So there are fighters that are willing to fight Kamaru Usman at middleweight. One fighter essentially being Robert Whitaker. Now, on to the main event. Islam Makhachev beats Alexander Volkanovski by via head kick, TKO, KO, whatever the case may be. Volk obviously was the picture circulating everywhere of Islam doing that and Volk in the back holding his head down, crying because it's meant a lot to him. And I don't think if there's any people if there's for real any people that thought Volk was just doing this for the money, it really shows that he wholeheartedly really wanted this. Because I don't think you make this fight again, at least for a while, because Islam has fought the two same people in his last 4 fights. He's fought Charles, he's fought Volk. And it's already confirmed by Dana White himself that Islam is going to fight Charles Oliveira again. So now it's like, well, damn. Not to say I don't want to see Charles fight him. It's just for the simple fact that, like, one, is he going to be in Abu Dhabi again? Are we going to actually get this fight? Hopefully everyone stays healthy. Again, freak accidents happen in training camp. I have a freak accident that I'm going to report regarding a certain someone that changed an entire event that's coming in 2 months. So yeah, but yeah, it's it's interesting. Wait, is it 2 months or 1 month? Is it 2 months or next month? I'm trying to remember. Oh, it's next month, not 2 months. So it's literally next month. So yeah, but I feel for him. I understand people's frustration, not frustration, but kind of like I don't want to see Islam and Charles hyped up again because it's like Islam is like, look, I don't pick the fighters. Just give me whoever you want to fight, and I'm gonna fight him. I'm gonna beat him, be the best in the world. Blah 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 blah. Typical, you know, Islam talk. And Volk has already agreed to fight. I think at 297. He already signed the paper. I think it's 297 in February or January, one of the two. I think it's January. 297 is supposed to take place, and he's supposed to defend his championship against Ilya Tavora. And if you don't know anything about Ilya Tavora, he's a very young, hungry, complete, well-rounded fighter in the lightweight division. At 155, and yeah, that's not going to be a good fight for Volk because for one, Volk is still one of the best fighters in all of mixed martial arts and all of it with it. In all of MMA. Let's get that twisted. I'll get that twisted. But you have a man in Ilya who's good on the feet, good on the ground, young, hungry, like I mentioned. Volk is coming off elbow surgery, having to prepare for Ilya in essentially what, 2 months? For what, November, December, January. So yeah, in essentially 2, 3 months. Coming off of getting knocked out. A lot of fighters aren't the same after they get knocked out. We'll just have to wait and see with Volk. Again, Volk is not a lot of fighters, but we've starting to see a trend of active champions losing their belts. 3 champions that we've seen not even lose their belts, but losing. Izzy lost his belt to Sean. He was one of the most active, not just champions, but one of the most active fighters, like, for all of the UFC. Aljamain Sterling lost his belt to Sean O'Malley. And Volk is another one. He didn't lose his belt, but he lost. And if this fight continues to go through in January and he fights Ilya Topora for the lightweight belt, then he might be in trouble of losing the fight, which a fight that a lot of people going into it was like, oh, Volk's gonna mop the floor with him, easy decision victory, majority unanimous, whatever, or maybe knocks him out, TK or whatever. So like now where it's like, okay, hold on, I gotta sit up in my chair, like, oh, wait a minute. Ilya might have a chance. There are some people that are saying they want to see Ilya fight Max to give Volk some rest. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't want to see that. I don't. I don't want to see that. The fight to make is Ilya versus Volk. The question is, can they make that work on 297? And Volk in the press conference afterwards was saying that he has some mental, like personal things that he's been fighting. And the reason he took this fight so late notice is because he felt like this was his best and only chance to become double champ, which he may not be wrong. It probably is his best and only chance that he'll probably be double champ, at least for right now. Granted, if he goes back on a crazy win streak again and looks like his normal, fighting self, then maybe they make that fight again down the line. But it's looking like it's probably gonna be his final chance to ever become double champ again. And I would hate for him to try to feel like he needs to keep fighting. I would hate for him to feel like he needs to continuously be active in the ring in order to not deal or to essentially his way of coping or dealing with the personal things that may be going on in his personal life. I don't know. He hasn't reported, hasn't been any reports on it. I don't even want to speculate or anything about another man's personal life because, again, that's his personal business. I'm just here to report and just talk about him inside of the octagon. Anything that else happens personally inside of his life, it's none of my fucking business. And I don't care to know what goes on in his personal life. So, with that being said, Volkanovski should take a break. I believe he should take a break. I think do what Izzy did. Don't retire. I'm not saying he needs to retire. He's too damn good to just call it quits right now. I'm not saying retire. I'm saying take you a break. Get you a little relaxation. Push that 297. Maybe try to set up a fight in April or March or something like that. Give you some time to chill, rehab your elbow, get your mental right because you did just get knocked out. Things of that nature. Don't be rushing into another fight because if he loses his belt, God forbid he loses his belt, and then we see Volk never be the same again. That would be so depressing and so sad. So depressing and so sad to see someone that was so great in their prime and so amazing, one of the best to ever do it, top 10 potential, can make an argument that he's top 10. I probably would make that argument that he's creeping inside that top 10, be a former shell of himself and is on the current losing streak, just letting the sport pass him up. And on top of that, Volk isn't getting any younger. So we just have to wait and see. He has reported that he wants to do 297 in January. It'll be at his weight class, so we wouldn't have to worry about him cutting too much weight. He'd have essentially somewhat of a full training camp for Ilya, but a lot of people was worried about him just for the simple fact that we don't want to see him. I don't. It's not even the fact that I don't want to see him lose. I just don't want to see him go on a downward spiral, kind of like what's happening with Tony Ferguson right now. I just don't want to see him going down on a downward spiral, feeling like you need to continuously fight, feeling like you can't take a break, feeling like, you know what I'm saying, like it's okay to take a break. It is. Every once in a while, it is okay to take a break, especially when you're on the top of the top of the top of the top of the top, one of the best in your respective field, whether it be MMA, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, you know, not even sports related, whether it be music, comedians, whatever. It's okay to take a break now and then. It is. It's good for your mental. And I hope Volk pushes someone in Volk's camp, pushes like, hey, bro, probably shouldn't take this fight. I don't think you should take this fight. Not because I think you'll lose or I don't think you're ready for it. I just think you need a break. Just take you a break. Don't have Ilya don't have Ilya fight Max. Please, because God forbid Max is beat Ilya. I don't want to see Volkanovski versus Max 4. I don't. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Max versus Volkanovski 4. I don't want to see that. A lot of other people may want to see it. I personally don't want to see that. I'd rather not see that. I'd rather not. And I feel bad for Max. I feel bad because I want to see him get active. I want to see him get a championship. But if I'm Max, and it sounds crazy to say, I'm hoping 297 happens in January. I'm hoping Alien and Volk happen. Alien and Volk fight each other. Hoping Volk loses. And once that happens, I'm putting my name in the belt. I'm putting my name in that. I'm next. Make me next, coach. Put me in. And then we get Ilya versus Max for the belt. So I'm hoping the UFC, if Volk decides to say, hey, you know what, Dana, I'm gonna take me a break. You know, I'm gonna take me a couple months to chill. Please though, please do not let Max fight Tapora. Please, 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 because God forbid Max wins. God forbid that man wins that fight. I don't know how we finna sell Max versus Ilya for. I mean Max versus Alex for. There's no way to sell that. Max has beat him 3 times in a row. He's 3-0 against him. There's not a rivalry if you haven't won a single fight. And in the wise words of Daniel Cormier, it's not a rivalry if you haven't won a single fight. It's not. And I love Max, but he hasn't won a single fight. So we'll just have to wait and see, man. Again, it's looking like Volk is going to go to 297 and is going to try to fight Ilya Sapora in January. Do I think he should? No, I think he should take a break. I think he should do what Izzy is doing, which is take a little break. I'm not saying he needs to be gone, pull a John Jones and leave for 3-4 years. I'm not saying that. Just take a couple months off, rehab your elbow, get your mental right, get whatever you need to right. Get whatever you need to get fixed. And then come back and go fight Ilya. And then come back and do whatever you need to do. Fight whatever new challenges you have to fight at lightweight. Because God forbid he beats Ilya and then tries to go straight back to Islam again. Leave Islam alone. Just worry about defending the lightweight belt. Just worry about that. Maybe towards the end of your career or end of your career, you try to go for Islam one more time. But at that point, it's like, bro, I don't want to see this man keep trying to go for Islam's belt. I don't want to see that. But moving forward to 295. Yes, 295. John Jones is out. John Jones is out. Tore his pec. Essentially the muscle that's holding the pec and your shoulder together. Tore that. And him versus Stipe Miocic is no longer the main event for UFC 295 in November. The new main event is Yuri Prochazka versus Alec Pereira for the vacant lightweight championship belts. And the new co-main event will be Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight belts. Oh man. I was in Florida when I was getting that information. And when I saw it, I screenshotted I never screenshotted my phone so fast. When you see those like what is it? The breaking news shit, when you see this pop up on my phone and it's from ESPN or Bleacher Report or whatever the case may be, I am always very quick to screenshot those. Dealing with like a torn pectoral tendon. Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah. So 295 is looking different. I'll give an in-depth analysis on that another day because this episode is already super long. But yeah, give my initial thoughts on it. The Stipe versus John Jones fight probably is never gonna happen. And that sucks because John Jones is now 1, but 2 what if fights. Now, granted, the Stipe fight, John was most likely gonna win. Because he just would have out wrestled Stipe. And even though Stipe is a tough SOB, he's just old. He's just getting up there in age. He's just old as hell. And Stipe had, I think, a chance, was given a choice to either fight Sergey or Tom Aspinall, and he's just like, nah. I'm not saying that Stipe is scared of any of those guys. I don't think Stipe Miocic is scared of any fucking body, but he essentially was just like, nah, y'all brought me out of retirement essentially to fight John Jones. I'm not fighting John Jones, so I'm cool. I am cool, big dog. I am okay. So, but yeah, So we'll probably never end up seeing that fight happen. Which sad, which sucks because I want to see that fight happen, but I just wanted to see it just to get it over with. But probably never see that. So I mean, that's not. It's not as bad as the Francis Ngannou John Jones fight that we'll never see happen in the UFC. Wink, wink, PFL. But yeah, we'll just never see that fight, and that's fine with me. But for the interim heavyweight belt, that is interesting because John Jones coming off surgery, coming off his pectoral surgery, his torn pectoral surgery, I should say. He would have to fight one of those two guys, and I'm pretty sure he wanted to go out on top, retire after beating Stipe, and he's said, multiple times he's apologized to Stipe. He said, "I'm sorry. I know I really wanted to make this fight happen. I really wanted to make this fight happen. Blah 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 blah." But he's still trying to. His plan essentially is to get the surgery, rehab, come back, fight Stipe, and maybe fight the interim heavyweight champ. Who knows? But by the time Jones is going to come back from surgery and be actually, effective in the ring and able to actually do something in the octagon, it'll, I think, be too late to fight Stipe. And you have an interim heavyweight champion, whether it be Sergey Pavlovich or Tom Aspinall. Uh, Spoiler alert: I'm going for Tom Aspinall. I think he wins that fight, but you have an interim champion, heavyweight champion, and one of those two guys that are wanting to be a real deal champion. At least go out beating one of those dudes. I think that's the case. And I think John Jones' last fight in the UFC will be against Tom Aspinall. I think Tom wins that fight. I think he beats Sergey. No way, he just froze again. God damn it. But yeah, I think he beats him. I think it'll be an interesting fight. It'll be a fun fucking fight because neither one of those guys know how to have a long fight whatsoever. I think neither one of those guys has been to. Tom has never been to a third round before, I believe, and their like average time or like average fight time in the octagon is like both under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So somebody's probably gonna go get knocked out in that fight. Somebody's probably gonna get knocked out in the fight. And the reason I'm leaning more towards Tom more than Sergey is just for the simple fact that Tom is the better grappler and could control the ground, control the pressure, and take Sergey to the ground if he needs to, opposed to Sergey, who is he's very powerful. He's very powerful. One of the stronger hitters, stronger punchers in all of not just the UFC but in the heavyweight division. Really hasn't seen him struggle or have face adversity really like that. And with Yuri Prohaska and Alex Pereira going to that main event spot, I don't think it dumbs down the card a little bit. Um, I don't think it dumbs down the card too much or makes it less exciting. I'm still gonna watch the card because there's still fights on there that I'm interested for. Like the two main event fights are damn good fights. I'm very excited for those fights, but it sucks that we probably won't see John Jones again until like late 2024 or like mid to late 2024 of next season or next year. So it sucks, but I think because this I'm already been recording for essentially 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think Yuri wins that fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Alex comes away with a win. But yeah, I was gonna talk about week 7. I'm not, because then this pod will be 3 hours, and I still have to get this out. It's almost 5 o'clock, and I still have to get this out today. So I just won't be able to talk about week 7. That's fine. It's not that big a deal, but yeah, I'll just have to change the title and just essentially just be NBA and UFC talk. So, because I wanted to get this stuff out, the more important stuff in terms of like the stuff that happened with UFC, because all that stuff was happening like as I was coming home, like this current week, and then obviously the basketball stuff happening this week. NFL, not to say that it wasn't happening. The Bills and the Tampa Bay Bucks literally just played last night. So, and then week 7, all the games happened on Sunday. So it was good games. It was good games. Eagles beat the Miami Dolphins. It was good games this in week 7, but you know, you live and you learn. You live and you learn, people. But yeah. Till next time, I've been your gracious host, Jalen. This is the Lazy Cast. This is easily 100% the longest episode of the Lazy Cast, and I'm going forward. I'm probably gonna have to balance how I'm going to talk about the NBA. I think I just wanted to get a lot of the NBA stuff out the way, just for the simple fact that basketball is basketball. It's my favorite sport. If you didn't know, now you know. So be ready for a lot of basketball content going forward. A lot of basketball and essentially football content going forward, and also the World Series. I might try to cover. I know I said I was going to try to cover the baseball playoffs, but the MLB playoffs, but it was happening alongside the NFL, and it was just I'm still kind of getting used to baseball, still trying to learn it, but I'm definitely cover the World Series as much to my ability if I have time. As we can see that this was a long episode. But yeah, man, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, post noties, all that good stuff. I'm gonna be starting to work soon, so it won't change the fin like it'll still be Tuesday, Friday for recordings unless something drastic happens, like I have to change, move a day or something like that. Other than that, it'll still be Tuesday, Friday. I would either have to record it the day before or I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I'm starting to work soon. I'm not leaving anytime soon. I won't be leaving until December. It's ironically around my birthday. And then maybe I do a special Christmas pod with the fam. We'll see. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, man, hopefully y'all have enjoyed this episode. This again, one of the longer episodes. Was yapping a lot this one. But yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, do all that great things, all the great ish. And I will see y'all next Tuesday to discuss week 8 and much more NBA basketball. Yeah. Got Grogu, and Bitmoji me saying bye. This has been the Lazy Cast, episode 7. And I love you guys. Bye bye. Thank you for being patient with me. And peace.